I have our website pulled up here, the section of our website for leading out of drama, and it can be found by going to our main website and going to our tools. I'll drop that down and then leading over to the LOD section. And this allows you to learn anything you possibly would want to about this model. And it's the model that is being featured in the previous webinars that people attended and also the one in my book. We have our resources organized based on who you might be, what hat you might be wearing when you're coming to this. For individuals, we offer some great resources. Then we also are very keen on helping organizations bring it in. And most of the ways in which we do that is some kind of a blend between a train-the-trainer certification and direct services to the extent that a company wants that blend. We also have a great network. We're very, very interested in supporting our trainers and our facilitators and our practitioners out there. One of the things we found when we were developing this model was that a lot of trainers and facilitators that get certified in models, it seems like they're struggling to get support after the sale, and so they get certified and they go out there and trying to do this, but that's when it gets really hard. And so we're really committed to helping people and staying in that relationship to help them feel confident and competent as they're going out and using these tools. So for individuals, I'm clicking on this. Well, that's great. Page isn't working. There it is. For individuals, we offer two things. The book is the first thing, and many of you have read the book already, so you're familiar with the concepts and the philosophy. And this book is built to be able to be used as a discussion guide as well. We have questions for personal reflection and discussion that are aligned with each chapter in the book. And we also have the opportunity for you to get the free drama resilience assessment that comes with the book. That makes a great combination for book studies, personal growth and development. If you're a coach, it's a wonderful way to use it for coaching. We also have our Conflict and You course, which is our entry-level self-guided course that people can obtain online. And it's easy to take it. Anyone can go on our website, and it's only $25. You can take the assessment and you receive back your results along with a guided workbook where you can be guided through interpreting your results and applying them in your life. What's kind of neat about this course is that people can do it on their own, or a department like a supervisor could have their team do it and work through it on your own, or you could have us facilitate it. And we can facilitate that course. It only takes 2 to 3 hours to do. We can come on site to do it, or we can do it in a webinar format. I was talking to someone from a large company at ATD last week, and they said, you know, we have customer centers all over the country. We can't get our people together. All of our training is virtual. Some of our employees even work out of their homes. And they were very, very interested in this course because what they can do is we can have everybody take the course, everybody receives their results via email, and then they can tune in to a webinar that we might schedule, a live webinar at, say, 3 or 4 different times during a week that fits everybody's schedules. And in the course of a week, 2,000 people could be trained in this entry-level course that's only 2 hours long.
That is really
So this
powerful.
course is designed. Yeah, this course is designed for really easy, wide-scale deployment. It's a mix of facilitator-led and self-guided, and it's a great way to start building those basic principles for healthy conflict in an organization. And even with this entry-level skill, there's some powerful things like a customer service or a call center person could start doing already to turn that conflict into something productive with the person on the other line.
That is phenomenal. So Nate, you mentioned people being able through that course to gain some really, basic conflict skills. Tell me some other outcomes that you see people achieve when they go through the Conflict and You course.
Well, one of the most significant things people take away from it is their ability to reframe conflict as a potential for creative outcomes and start to see it as not something that's inherently destructive, but as a positive resource. And they leave this course with 1 or 2 little strategies that they can use to go engage in a conflict situation differently than they did before. A lady came to our booth at ATD and she came right up to me, gave me a big hug, and she said, "Hey, last year I took the assessment, I worked through the course, and I still have my boyfriend." And she said, I used it. I went and used the tools from your book and from this course, and me and my boyfriend were able to start working through conflict in a creative way. And we wouldn't have been able to do that before. And I thought, wow, what a great testimonial.
I love that.
So moving on to organizations, this is a great way for people to engage with us with no strings attached. You don't have to hire us. It's easy to start experimenting with our tools. For organizations, this is where we really are into this notion of what does it mean to build a culture of compassionate accountability. And here we have what we call a deployment map. And this would be a typical way in which, say, an organization with 4 different levels, how they might deploy our different tools. And what we see here is these call-out boxes show what curriculum would be deployed at each level of the organization. And as you can see, that there's more and more at the higher levels, because we would expect the higher level leaders to have not only make more investment in their own leadership development, but also be more capable and competent to role model the concepts, to apply them throughout the organization, and to coach others in doing them. And if you're interested, you can click over to the right and see a sample implementation schedule, and as well as high-level descriptions of these different courses. But our goal
Great.
really is to not just come do an event, but engage with organizations that are really interested in embedding this into their culture and doing the hard long-term work of creating a common language that really starts to infuse the culture and changes the rules of engagement so that they can harness the positive power in conflict instead of having it suck them dry like a vampire.
Do you have any stories about organizational results, Nate?
We do. One really exciting one is we worked with a hospital that had about 40 managers at different levels that all went through a program with us, where we went through what we call our Leading Out of Drama Core Concepts course, along with group coaching and a lot of some individual coaching and a lot of practice. And in that organization, they were really able to start seeing some changes in how their metrics were responding, as well as how those managers were interacting with their people. Everything from how meetings were being run to how conflicts and performance conversations were happening, and really it helped empower these managers to go walk into that fire of conflict with great intentions and great results. Now they're re-engaging with us. We're going to start looking at how we apply what's called our Leaders App Pack, which is a series of self-guided very specific workbooks on how to apply these principles in key drama hotspots, like meetings or performance conversations, those kinds of areas where there's a high potential for conflict to turn destructive if we don't manage it well.
Wow, that sounds great. I look forward to hearing how that goes.
Yeah. Some organizations, depending on size, would prefer to have us come in or hire a certified facilitator or trainer to come do direct training, and then that's fantastic for them. Some maybe have larger training departments or want to get train-to-trainer certifications so that they can deploy and run with these tools at a pace that's right for them. And so we offer 3 different levels of certification in our model. And what we discovered at ATD is sometimes people call it certification, sometimes they call it train the trainer. And so it really is a train the trainer program. And we have 3 different levels here that are outlined. And we've used some images to show the different resources that are available for the different levels. As you can see, facilitator is the entry level, which gives access to 2 different sets of curriculum, the Conflict and You course, and then also the application handbooks that I described earlier. The practitioner and provider certifications are higher level certifications that do a lot more skill building and give access to a lot more in-depth, high-level executive training curriculum. Every level of certification comes with our cloud-based secure data management portal and program management portal. We're really proud of it because it offers opportunities to collect outcomes data, to see client assessments for clients to have their own secure accounts where they can look at their results and data, to look at aggregate results. There's just so much you can do with it, and it's probably beyond the scope of this webinar, but we're very proud of it, and our trainers that are using this have incredible data to be able to use for performance improvement, marketing, and sales as well. And so those are the 3 levels of certification. After this program, we're happy, we'll probably send out an email that has attached a lot more detail about these 3, so that if you are interested in any one of those, you can really dive into the details of what's involved and what you're in for, and what scope of privilege and resources and support comes with it.
So Nate, is there a typical place that someone within an organization would start with Train the Trainer or certification?
Yeah, there is, and it kind of depends on the role and function of that professional. One of our clients we're working with is a United States-based gourmet food retailer, and they have about 30 different retail stores around the country. And their head of HR basically deals with drama all day long from their head office in Kansas. Store managers are calling in with, what's going on? I can't find people. So-and-so just quit. What am I supposed to do? So she's coaching drama all day, every day. She chose to get certified as a practitioner because the practitioner level is not so much training you to be a trainer, it's training you to take in the energy of drama and turn it into compassion and accountability. So it's really a coaching and a mentoring certification where she needs to be basically a drama hazmat team. She needs Jedi skills to deal with this stuff. And so for her, it's perfect. However, her head trainer for the organization is a certified facilitator, and he is deploying this conflict in you and these leadership app packs at a large scale across the whole country. So he's going around training those, and it's a perfect fit for him to be able to do that.
Got it. That's really helpful. And I love the idea of having that hazmat person for conflict who can just show up with the right skills at the right moment to help bring the right energy to the situation. Seems like something every mom needs, Nate.
Oh, I tell you about it. If we could change that 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning and about 9 to 10 at night, imagine how we could change the world.
Oh my goodness. At our house, it comes an hour earlier, Nate. It's 6 to 7 a.m. in my house.
There you go. I talked to the head of a very interesting, fascinating lady the other day. She was in charge of a team of 4 trainer coaches for a large university, and their whole job was simply to go mediate conflict in the student body population. Whether it's conflict in a dorm room or conflict between teachers and students, that's all they did. And so when she looked at our certification, she thought, oh man, we need to be practitioner certified, because basically we go into a situation, we take drama, and we turn it into compassion and accountability, and people come into our office being part of the problem, and they leave our office being part of the solution.
Wow. Well, and it seems to me, I think about the ways I've seen your work implemented, and this whole idea of start at open, if only that one idea could be implemented. So
it is fascinating. I want to go back to something since you mentioned that. I want to share with you here on our main page. We have this notion of the compassion cycle, and it looks so simple, and it's an incredibly powerful engine and toolkit for being able to do this. But one of the basic rules of this cycle that Becky mentioned is start it open, and it is amazing how rarely people engage conflict by being open first. I've messed up twice in the last 24 hours in some critical conversations, and it seems like it takes me forever to dig myself out of it. And if I just would have been open about my motives, my feelings, and kind of put that out there, as vulnerable and scary as it would have felt, I know for a fact that the conversation would have taken about 1/10 as long to resolve. And so it's just a powerful thing that's hard, and it's one of the most profound, immediate changes people can make to improve how conflict is managed.
So since we're on the topic, I would love it if you could give us all a refresher, Nate, if you can stay on the cycle for a minute. I totally get the open part, and
Yeah.
I have seen you implement it. Tell us a little bit about how resourceful works. And the thing is, I get persistent too, but I keep coming back to this resourceful of not being clear exactly how that comes across.
Sure. Well, openness is about empathy and disclosing our motives and being transparent in a courageous way. Resourceful is about creative problem solving, and it's the kind of problem solving where we are leveraging the gifts and the resources of everyone in the room, and we're not hiding information. We're putting everything out on the table so that we can start problem solving, moving us towards those emotional motives and those things that we really deeply want, so that we can commit to them and persistent. And just today, I received an email from a trainer, a professional trainer facilitator. She took the drama resilience assessment and she emailed and she said, I want some coaching on resourcefulness because I'm realizing now I rescue a lot, which is the unhealthy alternative. I tend to do for people. I feel like I'm an expert. I tend to try to solve people's problems without their consent. And that doesn't seem like what a facilitator should be doing. And so resourcefulness is really a pretty profound skill set for engaging people in such a way that at the end of the interaction, they feel more capable and confident than they did before.
So we only have a few minutes left, Nate, and I want to make sure that anyone on the call who wanted to raise their hand and talk to you has had the opportunity to do so. It looks like I have someone on the call who would like to speak to you, Nate. So I'm going to go ahead and open
Yay.
up the line for Joe. And Joe, maybe you can tell us where you're calling in from, your organization, if you're comfortable doing so. And Joe, welcome.
Hey, I'm Joe Carson. I'm the director of the Memphis Dream Center. So we're a nonprofit seeking to just help families dream again, coming out of areas of poverty and disenfranchisement. So one of the things that really intrigued me with this is how does this play into personality types and strength, like we just recently did a strength finders, and so how does this communication model, this compassion cycle model, play into when we have very opposing personality types and strengths, and the way we receive and give information?
Oh, Joe, welcome on the call, and I'm so glad you asked that. I'm actually presenting at this very model at the Kansas Poverty Conference next month, and I'm very much looking forward to touching on that. This model works really, really well with strengths-based, with strengths models, and with personality models, because those models talk about how we're built and what we're kind of naturally endowed with. This model talks about how are we doing with who we are. So there's this difference between who are you and how are you doing with who you are. It's like having resources and then being a good steward of your resources. And so we can easily map on strengths onto this model. So regardless of whether we're working with strengths or DISC or any other model, we take a look at a person's strengths and we look at where would they fit on this model. So maybe I'm naturally compassionate, I'm sensitive, I'm a great listener, my heart goes out to people. Well, that's all open. But maybe my natural strength is I'm an analytical thinker and I love to problem solve and I just am always organizing information. Well, that's resourceful. So it helps us know where we're naturally going to be able to do better at negotiating conflict and where we might struggle. And I love facilitating conversations where people can take their strengths, map them onto the cycle, and then start to infer, where am I going to be strong, where am I going to be weak, where might I have a difficulty kind of filling the gap, and how can I use that to start doing personal and professional development. Does that help?
It does. Just curious, as someone who might facilitate, for instance, we have a team meeting and we're struggling with the language that's being used maybe out in public, and we're trying to rein that in, and someone might get offended because they feel like they're the ones who are being tasked with communicating and they're not doing it at the level that we had an expectation of. Just can practically walk me through how would I handle that in a sense that we're bringing, first of all, I guess I would be challenged with the open part because I'm probably not as compassionate as I should be, but in order to pull the strengths out of particular people, and I'm thinking of one who's very, very important to our team and has gifts and talents that I surely need on the team and don't have. Yeah. But we're struggling with just being able to make that that communication level comfortable where we're all moving forward rather than fighting an uphill battle over and over.
Well, the reality that we can't get away from is to start dealing with this problem requires conflict. And because there's already a gap between what we want and what we're getting. So the two challenges is how do we use conflict to create a new, better way, and then how do we leverage their gifts along the way? And I've not presented the drama triangle here, but it indicates how each of these skills kind of morphs into a dangerous counterpart. But yet on the other side of it is all these wonderful gifts. So let's say I'm dealing with someone who's maybe using some language that's not appropriate. However, they're also very creative, and we often see those two together. So I might say to the person at Open, I feel embarrassed when I hear this because I care deeply about how people perceive our organization. What ideas do you have for some other ways we could say this to get the point across without those words? And then I go to Persistent and say, because I'm committed to protecting and upholding this kind of an image for our organization.
Gotcha. I like that. Thank you.
But let's say the person, let's say the person was naturally committed, because committed people will often use derogatory language to attack other people for being lazy. So let's say I feel embarrassed about this because I want our organization to have a good image. I'm willing to work with you on some alternative solutions because I know you're committed to fidelity and I want to align your behavior with our goals.
Got it.
That way I'm leveraging their persistent strengths to be able to solve that problem.
Well, and we do have a question here from John, and John is wondering about cultural challenges and how some of these approaches would work. And I'm assuming cross-culturally, but John, please feel free to type me some more words so I can get clarity.
Yes, cultural, and we're experimenting with this model all over the world, and here's what we're finding in a very, very small nutshell. Openness is the biggest challenge. When we go to particularly European cultures, very resourceful and pretty persistent. Americans are pretty open. They tend to disclose. Japanese tend to be pretty open from a more empathy, kindness perspective, but not so much from disclosing their own feelings because it's such a service-oriented culture. Yet when we deal with like more Asian, like Indian, Chinese, very, very resourceful, very persistent, and openness is not so much what we do. And yet in other cultures, openness is seen as a sign of weakness, and so we just don't get open. And so we definitely see cultural challenges, but in every culture where we've done this, people have come to see how critically important each one of these skills is to be able to do conflict.
That's really helpful, Nate. Thank you. Looks
Thanks,
like,
John.
Yeah, it looks like you're seeing that. Glad that you could nail the question for John. It's so helpful.
Oh, I love it. I love the question about McDonald's. That is so great. And I tell you what, every time I deal with customer service in any way, I think about how powerful a 2-hour training could be. Because, you know, a teenager could apply this stuff to changing how they talk to somebody that's upset about the change they got, or the thing they want on the menu item isn't there, or the line's going too slow, or whatever it is. I think it could be profound.